The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests, and are not those of Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements of any radio show programs or products mentioned on air, on our website, social media accounts and marketing materials. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday evening. I believe in my heart that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on #1 ranked Pesmo Radio and has listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in the U.S. The station is licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight's guest is Katia, let's see if I can say this right, Ricciarelli V. She's a multi-artist with a diverse background in the arts, from animation, fashion, film, music, and design to writing, screenplay writing, and traditional and modern art. In her musical endeavors, Katia has composed and created over 80 of her own original music compositions in addition to her library of her unreleased music. Reed's music comes in a collection of album diaries which tell you about her adventure and days. These album diaries are composed throughout each year and are released as soon as a song is created within it. Since there is no musical genre where her music and sound fit in overall, Reed created her own musical category called Ethereal Future Sound. Ethereal because listeners say her music at times is haunting, heavenly, and trance-like. Future because there are moments when it invokes futuristic imagery. And lastly, sound because her voice is her own unique sound.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Katia. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I'm excited to talk to you. You've got a pretty cool story, and sounds like you're kind of involved in a few different things.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the music part of it. Is that your first love? Is that something that's kind of evolved? You know, you write, you do all these different things. What would you say, where does music fall within that?
You know, it's just part of my creative way of expressing myself. It just kind of happens. I mean, my mom and my dad too were very much into music and the arts. So, it just kind of came on its own. It was just a way for me to express myself and whatever I felt like creating in that moment, I would just do.
Okay.
Until I'm satisfied. My soul feels satisfied anyways.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. People that create, whether it's painting, music, art, they always talk about their soul and what you said about it being satisfied. Do you have a hard time being satisfied with your music, or is this something that, you know, when you release something, you feel pretty satisfied with it?
Well, I'm my own worst critic, and I always find ways to improve. Sometimes I am satisfied, but very rare. Very rare.
I totally get you. I think, you know, I started this 8 years ago, and the first song I put out, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours I spent on it in the video, and every time I was like, oh, I could do this better. I could do it. So I'm like one of those guys who's never satisfied, ever.
And it just makes you just keep excelling at higher levels.
Yeah.
And try new things and new techniques.
Yeah, I agree. And the cool thing about the more you do this, then you kind of look back on something you did a year ago or 5 years ago. And sometimes I cringe and I'm like, oh, because you know so much more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah. So tell us about your family. Was your family musical?
We're all very creative people.
Okay.
It's very diverse in the arts. We're just a bunch of creatives, very smart. Some of us are mathematically intelligent and deal with numbers really well. Other one of us are just visual creators, and we just create. So yeah, we're super creative.
Tell us about your fondest memory as a child in anything in the creative realm.
Creative realm. Fondest memories? Like, what do you mean? Like something I made or something I've seen or?
Anything that, with your family, whether it was something, a play you went to, whether it was a film, whether it was music, just anything. What was your fondest memory?
Well, I have a lot of fond memories, I suppose. But if I had to think of one right now, I would say it has to be, well, when I was a little kid, I would always watch, I was watching the Nutcracker Ballet. It was like a motion picture version of it, which was really awesome. And just, I love the music and the soundtrack and the art of dance and ballet. And then also, like, with that, I would also watch Star Wars Episode 5, which still is like my favorite Star Wars of all the films. And I love the soundtracks there and just everything. And I was just so fascinated by it. And then the other one would be like the first time I was introduced to David Bowie would be when I was watching The Labyrinth when I was a little kid. And I was just like, this guy. I'm like, he's so cool.
Awesome.
Oh, and Michael Jackson. He's the other one. I listened to him a lot. Yeah, when I was little.
Yeah, that was a great influence. That was one of mine too. When did you start on this music journey? Is this something recent? Is it something you've been dabbling in?
Well, I mean, when I was younger, I would always like make music but I never really pursued it like that. I mean, it was just kind of part of me, but I never really acknowledged it. That happened a lot with a lot of my creative, artistic gifts, if you will. It didn't really come out really until the one time my neighbor heard me singing outside a few years ago. I was just outside and I was kind of sitting on the roof and I was singing a little song. And then I went out in the yard and she's like, "Oh, I heard you singing. You have such a beautiful voice." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then like I kind of would make some music, but I didn't really have like the tools to do it. So I would just use a recorder and use my voice to like do the instruments that I felt like doing and whatever song I felt like doing. And then it wasn't until really 2017 that I got my hands on some like little digital, if you will, virtual instruments. So that took it all to another level. And in addition to all the other stuff I do too, to bring sound and things to my music. And I kind of realized, hey, this is kind of cool. But I couldn't quite fit into where I belong because my music is very different and quite unusual, but very diverse. Because if I feel like composing a classical piece, I'll compose a classical piece. If I feel like doing a more dancing type of song, I'll do that too. Or if I feel like doing just something just very unheard of, I'll do that too. But I never could find a place where I really fit in, which is kind of how I feel as an artist too, because everyone wants to just stick you with labels. And it's like, where do you belong? And so I kind of just really developed it over those years. And again, it was another form of just me expressing myself, which was very helpful. And the skill came into handy for a lot more opening my ever so evolving art world into something even bigger. And ever since, I just keep doing it and I just put them out when I feel like it.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think it's good that people can't pigeonhole you and fit you into a certain genre. I think it's good that you do what you want. And that's the beauty of being an indie artist is no label is going to push you around and tell you that you got to put out the same type of sound that you're known for.
Yeah. So you get what I mean?
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. What's a typical day like for you?
A day for me?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Well, if I'm not surviving and I'm just creating, I'll just get up. I'll get my nice hot cup of chai tea latte or ginger tea. I like that too. And I will first check some emails, see if I got any, answer those, and then I'll just work on whatever projects I need to work on for the day. So, like right now, I'm editing my next novel. So I have that in my little schedule. And if I need a break or I'm frustrated, I'll go and I'll stop and I'll work on something else, even if it's like a cartoon character doing some kind of animation. And if I feel like stopping to just make a song, I'll just make a song. It's pretty much anything goes, but I have like a set thing, like I need to get this project done, so I'll work a certain amount of hours on it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
How many books have you put out or novels?
Right now it's just one.
Okay.
It's a whole book series, coming out in 4 books, which is part of like another larger series that's in the form of motion picture movie scripts.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks.
When you sit down to write, whether it's a book chapter, whether it's your song, how do you typically like to get started? And do you have a favorite place to write?
Well, it just comes whenever it comes. I could be out and I might have a vision, or I might see something and I have a sketchbook and a notebook and I write in them all the time. Or out of nowhere, I might hear a song in my head. It sounds so amazing, and I might hum it in my little recorder just so I can keep the beat or the lyric of what it is, and I'll use it and I'll create it. Or sometimes I'm sleeping and I'll dream of something, and then I have to get up and I just write it or draw it or do whatever. It just happens.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like the creative process.
Yeah.
What was your first job that you ever had?
My first job was I helped. I actually learned a bit about business at a car rental place, but that was in my teens. That was essentially the first job I really had.
Okay. When you look at the industry, right, the creative, the music, all this stuff, it's rife with scams everywhere. And I like to ask every guest on the show if there's a scam that you want to warn the rest of us about, or something you've fallen for, so we can all kind of be safe and protect each other.
I haven't really fallen prey to that, thank goodness. For me, it's more just protecting your work from people just stealing it.
Sure.
I would say the biggest problem I face as a creative.
Yeah.
More than scam parts. But there are those scammers that come out and they're like, pay like $100 to be part of this and have your thing. And then you pay them. And then I hear about those kind of scams all the time. Like everybody just wants your money.
Yeah.
Not talent, just your money. So you have to watch out for that.
Yeah, that's a very common thing. Do you have a favorite jam that you listen to, like when you work out or something?
Yes, I do. Ivan Torrent. He's my favorite musical composer. He sings too, but he's like this epic, like super epic, super cool, like musical composer guy. He's awesome. His music, it just wow. You can see like the vision of what he does and what he expresses through his songs. But yeah, Ivan Torrent's like my favorite composer, followed by Seal.
Okay.
Those two.
Yeah.
Like their music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Seal was, I'm trying to remember, I think he was on like The Masked Singer like a year or two ago. I was shocked, I'm like, wow, a really famous person is on here, and now they have all sorts of famous people. It's like not a shock anymore.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we got one of our listeners, Daniel, is asking, out of the different things that you create, what's your favorite thing you've ever created?
Gee, that's so hard. I would say my favorite creation so far is quite a simple one. You see a little paper bag by the name of PB. He was he was bitter because he was thrown away and he has like some anger issues he has to resolve. But he's kind of like the stamp of my work on everything you'll see him. But yeah, I think that little guy is my favorite.
Okay, cool. So we're going to listen to your song here in a minute. Tell us a little bit about this. What do you want us to take from it? What inspired it? Tell us a little bit about it.
What inspired that song is just staying true to yourself, not losing your class, not compromising your morals and your values just to get ahead. I mean, a lot of people do it to pretty much exchange their soul for success, but you don't have to do that. You can stay true and stay classy, stay real, and stay loving. That's what it's all about, just being yourself.
Yeah.
Your authentic, real self.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great message. So let's check out your song, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more, okay?
All right.
All right, guys, check out Katia. Here we go.
You know there is courage when you are yourself, darling. It reminds you just to be your wonderful self. I love you just being your awesome, amazing self. Darling, just keep on being, staying true. Courage is in the presence of fear. You don't have to be so confident. Just keep on being true. Darling, just stay true. Just stay true to yourself and those around you too. No need to put up this facade. Darling, just be true. Something you were born with, it cannot be acquired. Darling, you already have it in you. Darling, you are classic. Don't you tarnish that by hanging with these lazy people. You're making you just fall. Keep on being true. I promise you, you'll just fall in You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Stay true to yourself.
Well, Katia, that was a wonderful song. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you for listening.
You're welcome. So when you look at the next year or two, obviously COVID has affected all of the creative people in a very, very unique way. Is there something special you have planned for your fans the next year or two that you want to share with us tonight?
My next book will be out. I'll have new characters and creations coming, and a whole slew of new music and some really awesome musical creations I think everyone's going to love. Those ones are top secret, but they're going to be out within the next year.
Okay, cool. What were you like in high school? I
was a reject.
Hey, so was I. I was a nerd, so I think sounds like this is a creative outlet for you then.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of friends. My brothers were really popular though, but I wasn't. No, not me. I was a reject, and I would just stay indulged in my art during those times.
You know, I gotta tell you, of all the people I've had on the show and just in general, you know, like the people that make it, it is so rare to have somebody who is popular when they're young, other than like Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes. Most people are rejects or loners, or just, you know, there's some kind of conflict when they're younger, like high school. And it's interesting that people use their creative outlet to get through that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, my art has always been my umbrella
Yeah.
for those hard times.
Yeah.
And out of it comes the most beautiful works of art. Out of those pains and those moments in life.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So,
I totally agree. I think that's great.
yeah.
So when you look at yourself, do you consider yourself more of a hunter or a gatherer?
What's that mean?
Basically, are you more aggressive or passive? You know, hunter, like you go out and get what you want, or are you more like a gatherer, like you nurture people and you're more, I guess, more calm?
I think I'm a hunter in a way of I need to get my work done and finalized and finished.
Okay.
And in terms of interacting with like people, I'm a little more, I'd say I'm passive. I love people. So
Okay.
I like to try to understand them, and I hope my work gives them some kind of comfort or inspiration when they see or hear it.
Okay. Tell us about the funniest thing that's happened to you this year.
The funniest thing? I've had so many funny moments. But for this year, I would say, I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of one at the moment, but I have had a lot of funny ones.
Okay. No problem. How about something that inspires you on a daily basis?
What inspires me? Oh, you know what? I love the sky with all the stars and the moon and the clouds. I love it. That inspires me daily. Looking up there, it's like you're so tiny and that's so big and vast, like a big ocean up there. I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I remember when I was in grammar school, somebody told me that Alexander the Great would always look up at the sky, and ever since I was a little kid, I'm always looking up at the sky, wondering like what if and fantasizing. So I totally understand your passion there.
Thank you.
Can you share with us, Katia, your website? Like, where can people listen to some of your music, buy it? I imagine it's on your website.
Yes, I have my music on my website, www.vscene.net, and that's a VSEEN.net. There's a whole music section there that has my music as well as a link to my SoundCloud.
Okay, wonderful. Well, tell you what, Katia, I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. You've been a pleasure, and I'd love to have you on again anytime you want.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
You're very, very welcome. So to all the listeners out there, I want to thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with us on a Tuesday night. I know that your time is precious, and thank you for listening. I hope everyone's unique story out there gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And tonight, I'm going to share with you one of my songs I released a few years ago called Your Empty Chair. Love is hard. Giving up on love would be so easy. We've all been there. It would be so easy to walk away sometimes, wouldn't it? I don't know about you, but that's something I just can't do, even if it means staring at an empty chair. Enjoy this song. I love you guys, and I'll see you next Tuesday night. Have a great night, everyone. I grow silent as we argue, and though the tide raises all ships, no one comes to the rescue. As the iceberg hits, giving up would be easy, but it's something I just can't do. I love you so
so very deeply. I don't want normal, I just want you. Why do I do it? Why do I chase this silly dream? I do it because it means the world to me. Do you remember me practicing religiously? All alone in our bedroom, always working instead of living. You held your breath and pouted. We jousted as you doubted and shouted. Our box got pretty crowded. Music was all you left me. That's all that's here among the debris. Night after night, I still pretend you're there, and I sing faithfully to your empty chair. Always singing to your empty chair, pretending that you're there. Do you really not understand who I am every night? Do you really not give a damn? Though you see how hard I try, I never ever changed, 'cause it's something I just can't do. I've always been the same. I always stayed right here with you. Do you remember me practicing religiously? All alone in our bedroom, always working instead of living. You held your breath and pouted. We jousted as you doubted and shouted. Our box got pretty crowded. Music was all you left me. That's all that's here among the debris. Night after night, I still pretend you're there, and I sing faithfully to your empty chair. Always singing to your empty chair, pretending that you're there. Why did you just smile at me? Have you suddenly fallen in love again with my dreaming? Just by breathing, you gave me everything. But when you asked me not to dream, all I could do was watch you leave. So now all that's left over there is your empty chair.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.
Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.